for each other, to serve each other. So I want to encourage you to get involved with what's going on here with that. Matter of fact, I'm going to put out a special request right now. I didn't do this in first service because the need is for first service. We have a consistent four or more babies in first service. So we're at a point where we need somebody to be able to step in for nursery in first service. And if God is going to lean on your heart with that, if you would consider it, you'd be able to attend second service. We'll be able to get our worship time in, but to be able to serve our brothers and sisters in first service would be a huge help. So stand by for that. And if that is something that God has put on your heart that you could do, you talk to myself or my wife Angie, and we'll get you plugged in. This afternoon at 5 p.m. Normally we would have Rhythm Youth Service, but we are not having youth service tonight. It is their fourth Sunday, time of fellowship and connections. And so we have some business to talk about in the church. And so this is an opportunity for us tonight at 5 p.m. to talk about the 2025 finances and the budget for 2026 and some of the areas that we are going in. Some good things are coming up in this year, and we want to be able to celebrate that moment and cast some vision, as well as talk about the very real thing about our church finances. When we talk about tithes and offerings on Sunday morning, we understand that translates spiritually to true riches. Amen. That translates to, however, that means that there's operations and ministry that has to happen in the body. So we will be talking about that tonight. Also, in a week after this coming week, we are looking at restarting our home groups, our small groups. If God is leaning on you to host a small group or facilitate a small group, you can talk with Pastor Manfred over here to the right, and you'll know who he is because he's preaching this morning. I'll introduce him in just a second. But we want to know if you are willing to host a small group, a Bible study in your home for the equipping and empowering of the saints of God. Amen? Now, to put on your horizon, I know this is February, but this is the last Sunday of February. In exactly about a month, we have fifth Sunday in March, which was always a family service and a time of understanding our missions focus in this world. But it is also the start of Holy Week. So 29 March through 5 April, the 5th of April is Easter. You're like, really, Pastor Ryan? We're already talking about Easter? Yes, we are. It's only 5 or 6 weeks away. So we're talking about Easter, and there is some preparation that we need to do in the house leading up to that. So we will have a spring cleaning event in the coming weeks, but we want to put this on your horizon now that Holy Week is coming. It is a time where a lot of people are seeking to return to the house of God. It's a time where they maybe they've not known the Lord before, but that it's a time of conviction and say, okay, I'm now ready to put this faith in Jesus to the test. So there's always an influx that comes in. So we as a body want to make sure that we're ready for the influx. We want to make sure the house is spotless, it's spick and span, and ready for all of our first-time guests. But we know that when they come in, they're just family. So we want to prepare for our new family coming in. So that being said, I'm going to ask Brother Manfred if he will come. He's got a mighty word this morning. I thank you for praying for Angie and I last week. We had a great time in Kaiserslautern, Germany, where we were able to minister to their dating and marriage conference there. It was an awesome service, 100% altar call. Even somebody was filled with the Holy Spirit during a dating and marriage conference. I don't know how that works, but God knows, and we just celebrate him for that. Amen. Heavenly Father, Lord, I thank you for my brother. Lord, I ask that you would cover him, saturate him from the top of his head to the soles of his feet. Lord, that you would use him as your oracle and speak to us the word that you have for us this morning. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you so much, Pastor Ryan. So, those of you who have been, good morning, church. Let me just first and first, I'm sorry. Just good morning to you all. Yeah. So I just wanted to go into the word. But let me just say, at the beginning of the year, Pastor Ryan started this series on Love World, Live World. And the purpose of that is for people, the people of God, to make this a lifestyle. To make this a lifestyle, not something we do occasionally. You see. And last week, Brother Chris and Sister Ali preached on this context, specifying on the issue of marriage. You see, how do we love well and live well in the context of marriage? And today I want to talk to you about the loving kindness of God. The loving kindness of God. How do we love people? How do we show people out there, brothers and sisters, or even unbelievers, the loving kindness of God? So, have you ever felt forgotten? Like everyone moved on and your name was erased from the hearts of those who once knew you? Sometimes life troubles, disappointments, or even our failures can make you feel hidden. In those moments, it is easy to wonder, does God even see me? Does he care about the specific details of my life? We know God is powerful. We know God is holy. But sometimes we forget that his power and holiness are wrapped in something even more fundamental to his character. His loving kindness. But let me remind you today, God never forgets his own. In his time, he will remember you. Let's open our Bibles to 2 Samuel chapter 9, please. 2 Samuel chapter 9, we're going to read the whole chapter from 1 to 13. I'll read from the LSB, the Legacy Standard Bible. Then David said, is there yet anyone left of the house of Saul, that I may show him loving kindness for Jonathan's sake? Now there was a servant of the house of Saul, whose name was Ziba. And they called him to David, and the king said to him, are you Ziba? And he said, I am your servant. And the king said, is there not yet anyone of the house of Saul to whom I may show the loving kindness of God? And Ziba said to the king, there is still a son of Jonathan who is crippled in both feet. So the king said to him, where is he? And Ziba said to the king, behold, he is in the house of Machir, the son of Amiel in Lo-debar. Then King David sent and took him from the house of Machir, the son of Amiel, from Lo-debar. So Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, came to David and fell on his face and prostrated himself. And David said, Mephibosheth. And he said, here is your servant. And David said to him, do not fear, for I will surely show loving kindness to you for the sake of your father Jonathan, and will restore to you all the land of your grandfather Saul, and you shall eat at my table continually. So he prostrated himself and said, what is your servant that you should regard a dead dog like me? Then the king called Saul's young man Ziba and said to him, all that belonged to Saul and to all his house I have given to your master's grandson, and you and your sons and your servants shall cultivate the land for him, and you shall bring in the produce, so that your master's grandson may have food and eat of it. Nevertheless, Mephibosheth, your master's grandson, shall eat at my table continually. So Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. Then Ziba said to the king, according to all that my lord the king commands his servants, so your servant will do. So Mephibosheth ate at David's table as one of the king's sons. Now Mephibosheth had a young son whose name was Micah. And all who lived in the house of Ziba were servants to Mephibosheth. So Mephibosheth lived in Jerusalem, so he ate at the king's table continually. Now he was lame in both feet. The Lord bless the reading of his word. The prophet Samuel had anointed David to replace King Saul because of his rebellious heart, which led to his willful disobedience. God subsequently protected David from Saul's numerous attempts to assassinate the divinely anointed heir to the throne. At the time of the writing of 2 Samuel 9, David is reigning as king over united Israel. Saul and Jonathan had died some 15 to 20 years earlier in the battle. However, before he died, Jonathan had cut covenant with David, and David was loyal to his covenant partner, Jonathan. So for us to understand what is happening in 2 Samuel chapter 9, let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 18, verse 1 through 4, and 1 Samuel chapter 20, verses 14 to 17, to see exactly what happened between Jonathan and David. 1 Samuel chapter 18, verse 1 through 4 reads, as soon as he had finished speaking to Saul, the soul of Jonathan was knit to the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. And Saul took him that day and would not let him return to his father's house. Then Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as his own soul. And Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was on him and gave it to David, and his armor, and even his sword, and his bow, and his belt. Let's move to 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 14 to 17.